Okay, so we're adding and subtracting rational numbers tonight, and we've already talked in class about how adding and subtracting decimals is not really a big deal because all we have to make sure of is that we line up the decimal point. So what we want to make sure of today, though, is that when we have rationals, all right, if we have two rationals in this form, okay, and we want to add or subtract our fractions, that we can all keep all this straight because this is where we usually get hung up. So in class today we decided if we want to add and subtract, all right, we need to have common denominators. All right, and that means we got to make the bottoms match, and we're going to have a lot going on, and that's why we got to be careful here. So we're going to do a couple things. 4 and 11, we're looking for a common factor there, and what most kids do is they just go ahead and multiply them together. So 4 times 11, that would be 44s. All right, we got a negative sign, want to bring it down immediately. Okay, carry over from chapter 2. Instead of having that, plus minus, we can replace that with minus. Okay, so numerators, remember, we got to change the tops. And to make this easy, all right, to make this easy for everybody, basically we're going to take this denominator, we're going to move it over here, and we're going to multiply it by both pieces. So 11 times 4 and 11 times 3. All right, and in return, we're going to take this denominator, we're going to move it over here, and we're going to multiply it by both pieces. So 4 times 11 is 44, 4 times 6, 24. All right. (44) stays the same. We have negative 33 and negative 24. Okay, remember our rule. If the signs are the same, we add. Okay, we distinguish that in chapter 2. So our signs are the same. So 33 plus 24 is a 57. And our bigger number is negative. So this would be negative 57 over 44. We've got our answer now. Now we've got to simplify that. All right, and again, 44 into 57, we get one whole. And we have a remainder of 13. Okay, don't forget your negative sign. So we would end up with negative 1 and 13 44s. Okay, so there is a mess of stuff going on in here. All right, mess of stuff. We got negative number signs or negative rules we got to apply. We got to apply fraction rules. All right. So take your time. Don't get in a hurry. Watch your signs. All right, those kind of things are going to be important. Okay. All right. Also then, so those were just two fractions. The other approach that we may have mixed numbers as well. So we can do 3 1/3 minus a negative 4 2/7. Okay. Now again, whether we choose to do our work horizontally or we're going to work them out vertically, really doesn't matter to any of us, just as long as we're keeping track of things. So 3, all right, again, we have our double sign here, so we can rewrite that as plus 4. Okay, bottom's got to match. And again, what most kids do in this situation is they just multiply their denominators together. 7 times 3 is a 21. All right, so our rule was we're going to take 3 down here and we're going to times it by both pieces. 7 times 3 is 21. 2 times 3, 6. We're going to take the denominator, we're going to move it up here, and we're going to times it by both. 3 times 7, 1 times 7. So now we can add 3 plus 4 is 7, 7 plus 6 is 13, and we keep the 21 the same. All right, so again, mentioned many times, simplify, clean this stuff up. All right, when we clean things up, there's less to look at. Stuff becomes a little more obvious to us. All right, but we got to take the time to clean things up. That makes life a little easier for you. All right, do the best you can on tonight's homework. Remember, okay, if we have if we have three fractions, all right, if we would have three fractions that we would have to put together, we need to make all three bottoms the same. All right, in which case you could multiply 3 times 4 times 6. Okay, that would be 3 times 4 is 12 times 6. We would have 72. So we could use 72 as our common denominator here. All right. The other thing you could realize is there's a smaller number that they all have in common, and they all have the number 12 in common. All right. So which one you use, I don't really care, but just be careful if you have more than two fractions to work with and you're doing the multiply trick. Okay, you could end up with some very large numbers here. All right. Watch your signs, do the best you can, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night.